Hello, and welcome to another chapter of a tome pulled right off the shelves at the heart of the Jakuls. As always, I'm your dependable host, Lothran, and there's ever so much more data to impart. So let's get right back into it, shall we? Go grab a filling meal, settle into a comfy spot, and pay precise attention to Fleet Part 18. Those Forgotten. You think this is some sort of test, Commander? Vildar asked, sounding very much as if he knew the answer to his own question. This is much worse than that. Much worse than Thazon screwing with me. This is a thing I have zero patience for. Incompetence. Thazon might be good at building fleets and sending men to die for him, but he's not good at anything else. Cam stared down the main window of ops, the ramshackle tents, and the over 100 mangled and half-starved veterans being temporarily housed outside until their quarters were finished. Who volunteered to care for them and set up the tents while I was away? Linth. She neglected all of her duties to see to their needs, even food and sleep as far as I know. She's probably still in one of them, starting a fire or feeding a man or woman with no limbs to do it themselves. The injuries incurred against the Sildarum, well, whenever they're not fatal, they're quite horrible. You still have that thing you offered up to me, the lightning, whatever it was? I do. You want me to offer it up to her instead? Yes, Vildar. Offer it to Linth. See if she can acquire knowledge from it where I cannot. Sir? Lodom popped his head into ops. Those reports you wanted. Is it possible? Cam asked as he held his eyes on the few figures limping through the heavy snow outside. Mustn't look away. Focus on the problem. It should be, sir, but Cam turned a stern stare Lotom's way till he finished what he was too afraid to mention. It will be extraordinarily painful, Commander. You tested it? Well, not yet, but just it will. I don't want your assumptions, Lotom. Cam gestured down toward the veterans. How many of them do you think would give anything just to stand again, just for the chance of it? Should I come up with a possible solution and then hide it from them? Will that earn me their trust and the right to be their commander? Should I tell them it's too dangerous, that no one should have to live with that sort of a burden? Cam vented at Lotom while the chief engineer cowered in the doorway. Cam took a steadying breath. Vildar reached out to soothe Cam's frayed nerves, but he was already in motion. He snatched the report pad out of Lotom's fingers and practically ran down to the tent city. When he arrived, Cam had already had a target in mind. He'd asked Vildar, earlier in the day, who among the veteran survivors, each one drained and emaciated, shaken and hollow ghosts of their former selves, who among them had the least and did the most to help the rest? Cam had repeated the question many times to others, and he received a few variations, but one name more than all the rest kept coming up. Cam entered the tent, pushing into a relative nest of just barely not frigid anymore temperatures. So much better than the bitter, angry winds howling around the camp outside. The small circle was littered with grumbling men and women missing at least one of their arms or legs. Some of them had only one arm to their name. Sitting on a cloth mat, his legs ending in nubs, his left arm tipped with a hook tied to his elbow and back, the other arm stump much shorter, propping up the neck of a woman whose once pretty face was nothing but a melted blemish on reality. Aslath, do you have a moment? Cam asked, taking a seat. Setting up his bag beside him, sifting his hands through it, making sure everything was ready. Rest up. I'll be back in a moment. Aslath pulled the blanket over the woman to keep her as warm as he could. Then he looked for a second as if he was tired, weary beyond any being's ability to recover. Brushing the feeling off, Aslath twisted, struggling with the motion till he faced Cam and put a smile across his face. You're the commander everyone was talking about. I thought you'd be taller. It was clear to Cam the other man meant it as a jesting insult, but Cam merely smiled in response, letting any anger he felt wash right over him. What if I told you I could give you your limbs back? Cam asked the question as calm as anyone could ever be. He had to handle this just so to see if Aslath was the right man for the job. I'd call you a liar, though if some of the things I'd heard about you are true, you might be able to do that for me. First, you have to give everyone else here all their limbs before me. Aslath smiled from ear to ear, happy as anyone could ever be. Why would I do that? Well, you see, I'm just fine. I don't need any more limbs. I have all the ones I'll ever need. He saluted, pressing his non-existent right arm to his left shoulder and bowing ever so slightly. What if it wasn't about how fine you were? What if the first person might be the last person, Aslath? What do you mean? You're not suggesting there's only one such limb in all the universe. If there is, I'm certainly not the right man for it. Much better candidates than I, sir. Aslath leaned back lazily on a metal bedpost beside himself. Would you disobey a direct order? Were the procedure dangerous? If it could kill you, if it could kill anyone. But each time it was done, it would make the next attempt all the more likely to succeed. What would you do then? Aslath stared at Cam. The broad smile chased away from his features, lost in his thoughts and memories for a short time. Others, weaker than myself, would have leapt at this too quickly. I'm glad you came to me first, Commander. Excellent. Cam dumped out the contents of his bag, a few fix and 2 carefully crafted legs. Hold on, we're not doing it here, and I'd rather have an arm if it's going to kill me than a leg. An arm's useful. Aslath protested as his compatriots began to stir to see what the fuss was about. I can think of no better place to perform the procedure, no better audience to observe what strength it will require to follow in your footsteps, Aslath. Cam bent the simple foot of one artificial leg, pushing it toward the ground and applying a fick to one of its joints. The leg stood on its own. You'll also be happy to hear that the moment the operation is complete, you'll be a soldier again, in flex armor, designed by my sister Kath. I heard she was pretty vicious. You heard correctly. Cam reached out his hand after setting both of the legs back in place. Aslath reluctantly took his pants off, dreading the eyes upon his desiccated stumps. Underwear too, I'm afraid, Cam directed Aslath as he began adjusting the fit of the legs to accommodate the different length of Aslath's vestige limbs. Is this going to hurt, sir? If you live, it will be all of the pain you could have ever imagined. But I'll have legs, right? Always look on the bright side, Cam replied, locking Aslath into position and dialing the harvested factor tube needles to sink into and fuse with the other man's flesh. His screams soon drowned out even the raging winds beyond the flimsy canvas of the tent. And so it is, our time together has once more come to a close. I hope each and every one of you enjoyed the tale as much as I have the telling of it. As always, I've been your informed host, Lothran, and this was Fleet Part 18, Those Forgotten, another tale right from the heart of the Jakuls. And now, we must once again part ways. Korvoth, guide them back along the proper path, back to the safety they know all too well.
Yes, sir, Lothran. I did warn you yesterday. Not a happy story, this one. And now back to my job. A pleasant greeting and a fond farewell to each and all. Please leave all your comments, questions, and kindnesses down below. Don't you let me catch a single one of you leaving any of that mean, rude, or terrible stuff. You keep all that garbage to yourselves. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to help us learn, spread, and grow. And don't forget that we strongly encourage each and every one of you to stay safe out there. See you again tomorrow for Fleet Part 19. It will at least be happier than this one for sure. Good night and good luck. You'll need it. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. 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 See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.